And we are back on the chosen baseball journey with the one and only Karim Garcia. I'm Jonathan A. Hacohen, author of the Bible 3.0 behind me. And Karim, I have a feeling today that in today's topic, New York fans are going to need a copy of the Bible 3.0 because they're going to need to figure out life systems for themselves and they need some solace because, buddy, it's spring training and Mets and Yankees fans are already crying.
I know. I mean, these guys are going down like flies, on a cake. Unfortunately, with Cole now Judge and some of these guys, they're getting injured so soon in the middle of a spring training, I should say now. It's unfortunate, but always happens, during spring training. Seems like the Yankees, the first month of the season, play with half of the team. Midway through the summer, they play with a full squad, and then as the season ends, you play again with half of the team again. So it's unfortunate it happens every single year. So they got to start changing the spring training somehow, or thinking about different stuff, because in Japan and Korea, I know I always go back to Japan and Korea to Asia. These guys have started doing it since January 15th. They prepare for a long season, which is shorter than the one in the States. They play only 150 games, 144. When you play 162 plus 19 for playoff, if you go all the way to the World Series, it ends up being 181 games. These guys, for shorter season, practice more, and it seems like they get less and less people injured during the season.
That should tell us something. Well, I can tell you there is one person who is very, very happy today, and his name is Scott Boras. Scott Boras is now considered probably the smartest man in the world because he is saying, you know what, New York fans, I can be your Santa Claus. What do you need? You need a number one starter, number two starter. I got whatever you need now. Just open up the checkbook and let's make it happen. With the Mets, we talked about this in a previous episode, right? So we're waiting for Edwin Diaz to come back. Edwin Diaz recently debuted in his first outing, Kareem. Three up, three down, struck out the side. So they're very electrified. But to have this high octane closer with your number one guy on the shelf and Kodai Senga not knowing when he's going to come back, and reality is if he's going to come back, depending on how his shoulder's at, very possibly, if we hate to say the word TJ, but if Kodai Senga's out, don't know how many games Edwin Diaz is going to be saving this year. And on the other side of the tracks, you got the Yankees. And today, it's funny because we were going to be talking about this in a previous week. I brought this forward because the topic was going to be the Yankees are looking really good to conquer this year. Now I think it's looking like the Yankees are looking to be out this year. And when you have a lineup at the MRI machine, right? So you have Gerrit Cole, he gets an MRI. They don't want to disclose what the results are. We're going to take several opinions on this and we're going to see where it goes. I'm no baseball player, Kareem, but that does not sound promising to me. And then you have Judge saying, "Oh, my abs are bothering me. Let's get an MRI too while we're at it." Correct me if I'm wrong, but people don't just line up in MRI machines unless they're feeling there's something serious there.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have this nagging injury or symptom for a while during spring training, and instead of taking care right away when they get, to spring training, they, let the spring training go a couple of weeks and say, oh, you know what? It's still not feeling better. Actually, it's getting worse. Sometimes baseball players don't want to be honest with the teams, telling, you know what, I didn't work out. I didn't do anything. I'm trying to get in shape during spring training. A lot of guys do that. Back in the days, I don't know if these days now, but back in the days, you go to spring training 6 weeks to get ready for the season. And sometimes the injuries will come up instead of, trying to get ready for a full season from December, January, and be ready for a spring training. Some guys, that's why they play winter ball to stay in shape and to be ready, especially hitters. Pitchers is a different story because they have to, rest their arm, rest their shoulder, rest their elbows, knees, whatever, they need to pitch every single day or at least every fifth day. So for hitters, to stay in shape, I mean, you gotta go play winter ball and enjoy it, at the same time. Pitching, I can understand going for winter ball, have 5, 6 stars, rest, and then go back to the normal, routine.
It's such a shame because why I was starting to get very hopeful for the Yankees was I started to see a trend here in the lineup that they put together in the rotation, and I really like the additions that they had made, and I started thinking, okay, you got Marcus Stroman, right? You got Alex Verdugo, and then from there, the third piece, and of course the one and only Juan Soto. And Juan Soto, it's funny, like the way he's crushing the ball in spring training, he's come very, very motivated. And why they have these guys with this swagger, they have guys with confidence. This is the kind of guys you want to see on a Yankees team, right? This is a good fit from a personality standpoint. But it's interesting enough, not just Soto, but Verdugo are both going to be free agents at the end of the year. When you have guys that have something to play for, generally this is a good sign for your lineup.
Oh yes. The thing is, two different type of players, Verdugo and Soto. Soto is gonna command, 3, 4, $500 million. That's what he's looking for. Did he get it? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, New York is different. But Verdugo is a guy that is still trying to get to an everyday playing system, and he will get it with the Yankees because, unfortunately for them, all the outfielders at one point or the other, they always get hurt, one or two of them. So he will have a lot of playing time. It's just biding his time at the beginning and making the most through the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're going to be great additions to their lineups, and if you think about it, if assuming Judge the MRI was okay, and you have Stanton assuming he's going to be okay, and Rizzo assuming he's going to be okay, like there's a lot of question marks here, right? DJ LeMahieu, but if these guys are all healthy or semi-healthy, it's a pretty scary lineup. It's there's not many holes in that lineup, but when I look at that rotation, I like the bullpen. I think it's a fairly steady bullpen. I mean, they don't have a Diaz in there, but they have enough arms that they can kind of flip flop. They like that closer by committee. They don't need to have one guy closing out. But this rotation with Garrett Cole scares me. Right now, penciled in number two is Carlos Rodon. And you remember Carlos Rodon last year? And it was a long, long, long year. And the Yankees fans are saying, oh boy. And spring has not been kind to him numbers wise. That's your number two, by the way, folks. Then you have Stroman. Add to that Cortez and Nate Schmidt. And you got there five guys. I'm thinking here a Blake Snell and a Jordan Montgomery would now make it a contender pitching staff. I think they need both guys.
At least it's Snell, for the standpoint, he's a great pitcher. He brings same stuff as Cole, I will think. So the 1-2 punch right there that was great. And I will put number three on Stroman, and Rondon will be my number four. Why? Because like you mentioned, spring training, the first couple outings has been just bomb. They just tee off on him a couple of times, not a couple of times, a few times I should say. And his velocity is a little bit down from what it used to be. Now it's throwing 93, 93.5 when he's 95, 96. So those 3 miles difference without a sink makes a lot of difference on a major league level. Basically, just throwing a BP fastball right down the middle if it's not moving at all. They're going to hit it and they're going to hit it far.
And we're going to be talking about this in a future week. And I'm just going to just throw it out there. And by the way, it's Clark Schmidt, not Nate Schmidt. That's a different sport. But, Trevor Bauer's out there for $700,000 and he could just step in and be your number one. It's not going to cost, because remember, you sign Blake Snell, let's say 25, 30 million. It's costing you 50 to 60 million approximately with the luxury tax. So you signed Trevor Bauer for 700,000. It cost you 1.4 million. Not too shabby. I don't know many backup infielders you can get for 700,000 anymore. So I think Yankees really have to think about this because at the end of the day, wherever Garrett Cole goes, the Yankees go. If there is no Garrett Cole and you do not find another arm similar and it's hard to find even that caliber, right? What you signed Zach Greinke, for example. The name Zach Greinke's been thrown around. Zach Greinke, great pitcher. If you can get Zach Greinke from 7 years ago, 5 years ago, you're not getting Zach Greinke from 7 years ago, right? You get Zach Greinke today. What are you going to get? You're going to get a 4.5 ERA, right? You're going to get maybe 10 wins. Also up in age. Look, a great guy. I would say I'd love to have him as a number five starter, right? Or number six starter. But as my number one, it's tough out there. And you're wearing that shirt, and I'm starting to think ahead, right? But you remember when Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer got moved at the deadline, right? And you plug in a Max Scherzer, you plug in a Justin Verlander, big difference makers. They're still not at the level of Gerrit Cole. I mean, it's not Verlander, Scherzer at their prime, right? And Gerrit Cole, he is coming off a Cy Young Award win. I don't know. Maybe there's two or three pitchers in all of baseball that can equal Gerrit Cole at this point.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, Seth Greinke right now is going to be your fifth starter eating innings. Usually that's what you need it for, Say the bullpen after a long outing from your starter, throws 2 to 3 innings and you have to use the whole bullpen. Now you got Greinke to throw 6, 7 innings, regardless if he gives up 5, 6, 7 runs. He's going to compete, is going to be there, and it's gonna eat those innings that you need your bullpen to rest. That's exactly why teams using it right now. I don't think that's the solution for the Yankees at all. Like you mentioned before, I think if you go with Trevor Bauer, who is hitting like in his last outing against a minor league team for the Dodgers, 99 mile per hour with a sinking fastball and a changeup, a split changeup. That's a guy that you should think about for the price. It's a rookie. I understand he's being clear. Now let's say that he's being clear of everything. So it's nothing against him to stopping him from any team to get him back to the major leagues. I wish they give him the opportunity to pitch again this year, and I know he will actually help someone to get to the World Series if they give him the opportunity.
And we will, like I said, we will be getting into Trevor Bauer because that is a big topic. And it's funny, Kareem, if I close my eyes and I see Blake Snell's numbers and I look at Trevor Bauer's numbers, taking aside salary, I'd rather have Trevor Bauer, to be honest. Blake Snell, for a guy who won the National League Cy Young, and you look at his numbers, he's a guy who tends to go 5 innings and likes to walk a lot of guys. Okay. And there's a reason why I think a lot of teams didn't line up to give him 5 years, 7 years. If I have a starter, I like the idea of him maybe pitching a complete game or at least going 7. 5 innings with a lot of walks, that terrifies the heck out of me. Generally, what is the feeling on MLB teams as far as starting pitchers that walk and don't walk a lot of players?
Very simple. You're on a pitching count nowadays. You throw 100, 110 max. So basically, you walk 5, 6 guys in the first 4 innings. By the fifth inning, you're done. You're done. Your team expects you to go 7 innings, 100 pitches. Just usually what they will expect. Unfortunately, nowadays, you guys throwing 100 pitches. They're barely making it over 5 innings because they're trying to throw harder. They're not being very consistent on the zone and just trying to strike out a lot of guys instead of making them put the ball in play and let your infielders do the job of the outfielders in this case. Like the Maddox, he wasn't trying to strike out 300 guys a year. He was trying to pinpoint the outside corner, that inside corner, try to jump the hitter just to make put the ball in play. So that way he will make quick outs with less pitches. 10 to 12 pitches an inning will give him 7 to 8 innings during the start.
Let's make a prediction right now. We're going to go on record, Kareem. When we finish off the 2024 season, all right, and we look at the AL and NL, and which pitcher led their league in complete games in all of Major League Baseball, how many games you think will be the top pitcher in how many complete games they have? And I'm going to give you a range between 0 to 5. Do you want to pick a number, or do you think it'll be more than 5? I have a number in my head. What's the number in your head?
4.
4? I wanted to go with 4. I really did. I'm going with 3. And I'm
Okay.
and I'm still pushing it. I'm telling you, Kareem, you and I are gonna live to see the day where I bet you there'll be a year where it's gonna be zero. There'll be no more complete games. I'm this is where we're headed. But okay, you have it, folks. I say three, Kareem says four. So as we finish off today's episode, Kareem Garcia, I'm gonna ask you this. And please, fans, send in your questions, your comments, especially New York fans. I know you're not shy. Do you agree with us, disagree with us? Because we're about to give you our prediction and what we would do. So let's start off with the New York Mets. With or without Kodai Senga at this point, let's assume that Senga is out, but even with him, would you try to load up this year and would you try to make a run for it? Or is this more of a rebuilding for you for the New York Mets?
Rebuilding year for me. I will think so.
Agree with you 1,000%. And I think I would do everything to try to pump up my guys to try to get trade value at the deadline. The Brett Beatties of this world, I try to play more of the rookies, try to get them at bats because they got some nice prospects, but you got to give them time. When you start already, platooning and benching them, to me, there's no point. Go throw them at AAA at this point, let them get their at bats, but having your rookies rotting on the bench, I don't see it. It's really great to see Edwin Diaz though. And you know what? If some of these guys come together, you never ever know. Sean Manaea, by the way, cutting the hair, cutting the beard. He looks 20 years younger. I like his attitude. He said, you know what? It's hard to pitch with all this. I think now enough with the fluff. Let's just go. And I think Sean Manaea is going to be winning 13 games to the Mets. So I think that they'll have an interesting year. But I agree with you, rebuilding all the way. New York Yankees. Kareem, it's like we have a 1978 Ferrari and we love our Ferrari. We try to put the best gas in it, but this Ferrari likes to go to the shop all the time. Do we keep this 1978 Ferrari and try to keep it going, or is it time to just sell the Ferrari and try to buy a brand new Ferrari? What do you think that with the New York Yankees? Are they still going to go for it this year, regardless of what happens with Gerrit Cole? Or at some point, are they going to say, you know what? Let's try to retool a bit.
Yankees always gonna be the guys that trying to win every single year. So they're gonna go for it again. They might not spend the money right now, but coming May, they might surprise you signing a couple of the guys that we mentioned before. And I won't say the names right now, but I'm sure they're gonna go for a starting pitcher, at least one of them.
I think that if they're smart, they are going to re-sign Juan Soto. They will find a way. This guy is going to have such a monster year. The patience at the plate, the swing. I'm a big believer. I've been watching him in the spring now. But he's going to be costing them 500 million plus, more than likely at this point. But I think you got to happen. But I feel like if you've ever been to a casino, I feel like Brian Cashman is the guy at the roulette table. And every half an hour, he's going back to the bank machine. He's pulling out another stack of hundreds. He's like, this spin is going to happen. So I agree with you. I think that for the rest of eternity, you will never see a rebuilding Yankees team because they got to go for it every single year. But I have a bad feeling for Yankees fans and Mets fans. Senga and Cole, I don't see it happening. If they're not going to go for TJ off the start, the way they're talking, I don't see them finishing off the year healthy, those two. And where those two go, that's where the teams go. So it'll be very, very interesting. And hopefully the Yankees will be able to contend at the very least. And they have some interesting players that they brought up. And I think Verdugo is going to have a great year. I think Stroman's going to have a great year. Again, I hope LeMahieu stays healthy. Stanton's going to stay healthy. But even Rizzo, you list off these guys, and every single one is if. When we talked about the Braves, for example, we're not going to sit here and talk about if. Why? Because they have all these stars in their mid to late 20s, right? And we're talking about guys in their mid 30s to 40. It's hard when you have an aging club.
Yes, absolutely. You have to oil the machine a little more. Keep working with them. Give them a little more rest. And the guys 20 years old, 25 years old. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, for them, for the Yankees, every year in spring training, they always get someone or a couple guys hurt, and they never start all together. It's been probably 10 years since they started with a full squad, opening day.
Gotta ask you one question that came into my head because I was listening to an interview with Juan Soto, and so summing this up, having you been around the Yankees organization, He said Juan Soto was on record saying that he was beyond impressed in spring training with the Yankees. It said it's just a different atmosphere over here. The way they treat you, the clubhouse, the staff, the front office, they really go all out to make you feel really special compared to any other major league ball club. Did you find the same thing?
I mean, once you play in the major leagues, it's great to be in any of the teams. You travel with the team, private plane stuff like that. Like you mentioned, or he mentioned, this is playing with the Yankees is completely different because of the history of the team, the way they always done things different from other teams. Trying to accommodate the players to the fullest. If you ask for something, it's not going to take 2, 3 days. It's going to take hours to get it for you. How they do it, I don't know. They got everything for you waiting just in case you need something. So, and I'm talking about just specifics like a batting glove, a spikes, a hat, food wise. They know exactly what you like. They know the name of your family. They know everything. So they do their homework very thoroughly. And it's perfect because, I mean, it's great because whatever you need, they already have
If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. So good
it.
luck. Good luck to the Yankees. Good luck to the Mets. That's Karim Garcia. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen. And we'll be back next week on the Chosen Baseball Journey because we got a big congratulations for an MLB veteran. And we're going to look at the free agent market a little bit and who's still left. So stay tuned. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey.